Thank you very much. Your next witness, please.
State calls Erin Robin.
Good morning. Could you raise your right hand, please? You do solemnly swear the evidence in the testimony given in this cause will be the truth, so help you God. Just have a seat over here and adjust that microphone, make it comfortable for you. And the state will proceed when they're ready.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please state your name for the record.
Erin Robin.
And Ms. Robin, where are you currently employed?
At Dalton Elementary with the district.
And what is your current job position?
I'm the programs facilitator at Dalton.
And how long have you been employed with the Uvalde Independent School District?
This is my 13th year.
In May of 2022, where were you employed?
At Robb Elementary, I was the second grade teacher.
And how long had you been working at Robb Elementary?
That was our first year at Robb.
And what grades were you teaching?
Just second grade.
Okay. And did you begin the 2021-2022 school year at Robb?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, can you explain to the jury what the Raptor system was as you understood it?
I understood it as a way to let all staff or faculty that are on the campus know of any kind of emergencies or anything like that.
And can you explain to the jury what your understanding of what a lockdown is?
A lockdown is when the procedures are simple, like lights, locks, out of sight. We usually have one drill, maybe two, the whole school year. That's an actual lockdown. We'll have monthly drills, but they're not always a lockdown drill. Usually at the beginning of the year we go over what to do, and it's just lock the door, make sure the door's locked, turn the lights out, and hide.
And who provides this training?
The principals.
And what about the students, the children? Who trains them?
The teachers.
Okay. And you said what the training was, but can you tell the jury specifically and for the record, what are the students trained to do?
So when I train my students, we kind of have a very calm discussion beforehand, kind of prepping them of like when we would have this scenario, when we would do a lockdown. You know, I always tell them like there might be a threat on campus, there might be somebody, you know, that's not supposed to be on campus. It could be an angry parent, you know, things like that that aren't like scary. And I always told them, you know, look around the room, find somewhere that if somebody looked inside the window, they wouldn't be able to see you. And we kind of talk about just like hiding.
Now, with regard to the training as to a lockdown, what are you expected to do as to the termination of the lockdown? How does it end?
Will you repeat that?
Well, while you're in the lockdown, what are you waiting for?
We're waiting for an announcement to be made that the lockdown is over,
Okay.
and that all is clear.
Okay. And that's if it's a drill?
Yes, ma'am.
And if it's not a drill?
Wait for instructions somehow.
Okay. Now I'm gonna take you back to May 24th of 2022. What were your hours that day?
7:30 to 4.
And may I press the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
There's a pointer there, Ms. Robin. Let me show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 1. Can you explain to the jury where your classroom was on this map?
So my classroom is right here on this wing, and it is next to the restrooms. This concrete piece right here are water fountains, and my classroom is right here between the bathrooms. There's a boys' bathroom and a girls' bathroom, and then my classroom sits right here, and then there's 2 more.
And for the record, you're pointing down to the 4th building south, which would be the D wing. Is that what you said?
Yes, if this is A.
A, C, D. That's the 4th wing down going south. And you already pointed out what the bathroom is, and the bathrooms are on the south and further south on that wing. Is that right?
They're right here, yes.
Okay. We just need to make a record.
Okay.
Now, is this part of the campus, this eastern part of the campus, is that known as the old part of Robb Elementary?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is this area right here?
That would be considered the new building.
And is that where the 4th graders were housed?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a 4th grade wing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, when you walk into your classroom, can you explain to the jury what you see once you walk into your classroom?
In my particular classroom, when you walked in, the door is all the way to the right-hand side of the classroom. So you have an entire wall, then there's cabinets along another wall, and then the opposite wall from the door is they're windows, and they're like midway all the way up to the ceiling windows, and they're the whole wall. And then the other wall is like the whiteboard.
And did you have curtains or blinds?
I had blinds.
Blinds. Now, did you keep these blinds open or closed?
I mostly kept them closed. They were closed.
Did your classroom adjoin another classroom?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, on May 24th of 2022, was there anything going on special that day?
We had award ceremonies that morning.
What time were your award ceremonies?
I don't recall exactly what time, but I know that they were one of the first ones because the second graders went first.
And what did you and your students do after the award ceremony?
We went back to our classroom. I don't recall exactly what activities we did, but we stayed in our classroom until lunchtime.
And what was the normal schedule for picking up your kids after lunch?
At the time of pickup, it's all set in stone in the schedule. You pick them up in the grassy area near the playground.
Okay. May I punch again?
Yes.
Now, your students were second graders.
Yes, ma'am.
So where was, if you could point to the board for the jury, where was their recess area?
So we had recess on this playground.
Okay. Now, you were supposed to explain to the jury what you were supposed to do with regard to your children around lunchtime.
The students were lined up in lines in this little grassy area between the buildings, and this is just where the duty people had them lined up, and that's where you picked them up.
So they had been a little further south of that area, but then they were supposed to be lined up.
Yes, they play here, and then we line up here.
And what is your responsibility after they're lined up?
To walk them to our classroom.
And what time was that for that day?
I was about 5 minutes late picking them up that day. I was making copies during my lunchtime, and I had a jam in the copier, and it took me a little while to get that ready and unjammed before I left the copier. So I was late picking them up.
Now, when you pick up your students, what way do you walk?
We walk on the sidewalk, down the sidewalk, and then down our wing.
So that goes south, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And did you do that this day? Did you pick them up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then after you picked them up, what happened?
We always stop for a restroom break, and so I had a student holding our classroom door open, and I was standing in front of the bathrooms, and I was just monitoring the kids going to the restrooms.
Now, can you stand up and just kind of show the jury how you were standing so we can understand that?
I'm just standing.
Okay, okay. Did you have the door propped open or anything?
A student was holding the door open.
Okay. Now, what area were you facing when you were standing in front of the bathroom door?
I was facing the fourth grade building, I guess, that area. The para that watches the kids was walking down that sidewalk.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. When you say para, what does that mean?
She is the PE, like, paraprofessional. She's like an assistant.
Okay. Now I'm going to pull up State's Exhibit number 1 so I don't have to keep going up there.
Sure.
So, and I think we have a pointer up there for you so that you can point. I want the jury to understand where you were coming from. So.
Okay.
Well, if not, I'll get it. Let me get the easel. I'm sorry. Ms. Robin, if you can you point on the board and show the jury where you were walking down? How did you head to pick up the kids?
I picked them up here, and we walked down the sidewalk, and then there's a sidewalk right here in front of our building, and we walked down on this side.
And you were facing the fourth grade building at this point?
Yes, walking this direction. We were facing it.
Let me return to my seat. When you were standing there facing the fourth grade building, you said you saw a para,
Yes.
a paraprofessional, which is a teacher's aide, so to
Yes,
speak.
ma'am.
And what did you see her doing?
She was walking normally, and she got, do you want me to point to the sidewalk where she
Yes.
was? She was walking down this sidewalk to the PE pavilion because there was like a next PE class. She got about right here. She turned around and ran back towards me.
And what did she, did you see the look on her face, or could you see her?
Yes, she was very panicked looking, scared, and she got to me and she said, "There's a man with a gun." I was surprised as well, and it kind of took me by surprise, and I'm like, "What?" And she repeated it, "There's a man with a gun. I heard it on my walkie." She carries just like one of our school walkies.
You mean walkie-talkie?
Yes, a walkie-talkie, yes, ma'am.
Now, you're saying it very calm today, but was she telling you that in a calm voice?
No.
Explain to the jury her tone.
Just frantic, panicked.
What else did she say to you?
There's a man with a gun.
Did she tell you to go on lockdown?
No.
Okay.
No, she said to get inside.
Okay.
I told her, I said, I have children in the bathroom, I have students in the bathroom. And she said, I'll help you. And I went in and got one student, she went into the girls and got the other student. And we all went, my students and I went into our classroom, and she went further down the sidewalk, and I'm not really sure where she ended up for the lockdown.
Okay. Now, at this point, all you know is that she said that there's a man with a gun,
Mm-hmm.
and so you immediately go into your training.
Correct.
Okay. So once you got all your students into your classroom, what did you do?
I made sure that the door was shut and locked. I removed the magnet from the door frame. We were issued these magnet strips that kept the door unlocked, essentially. I pulled the strip, my door locked. And I stood there for a second just kind of thinking of, like, what do I do next, and trying to remember my training. And I heard 2 pops. I knew that they were gunshots. One of my students looked at me and his eyes were so big, and he said, "Miss Robin, was that a gunshot?" And I just looked at him and said, "I'm not sure, I don't know," just trying to not panic them.
Okay. So let's just kind of clarify your door. Was your door locked or unlocked at this time?
My door was locked.
Okay, and was that a practice of yours to keep it locked?
Yes, ma'am. I kept my door locked this year because we were exposed to the outside. At my previous school, we were inside the building, and so I didn't keep it as locked as I probably should have.
And you described a magnet. Why did you have the magnet on the door on this particular day?
It was like that every day.
And why is that?
Because kids go in and out to the bathroom all day long, or people, counselors, whomever need to come in.
Okay. But you pulled the magnet and
I did, and it was locked.
Okay. Now, after the child said, "Is that a gunshot?" Did you hear any more pops?
I don't remember.
Okay. Did you receive a raptor alert that day?
I did.
Do you remember the time of that?
I believe it was 11:34.
Okay. But by the time you got the raptor, you were already on lockdown?
Yes, ma'am, in my classroom.
Okay. Now, what were you doing in the classroom while you were on lockdown? Could you describe to the jury what your actions were?
Once we heard the gunshots, I told my kids, let's get over here to this corner. I chose the corner of the room that the door was on. It's a concrete center block wall, and the other wall is the cabinets. There's a table over there, so we got underneath the table. Most of us all fit under the table. I sat down beside them and just kind of scanned the room.
You moved over?
I did. I moved some furniture over. While I was sitting there next to my students, I kind of scanned the room, and I kept looking at the windows, and that was kind of the direction of the gunfire, or the sounds we could hear. And so I thought to myself, I'm gonna die today. I felt like a sitting duck, just waiting to die. Sorry.
Did you rearrange the furniture to make like a cover for the children?
Yes. So we have these little square wooden desks, and I started flipping them over, and I flipped them over their side, and I made like a wall, and I stacked a desk on top of the other, so I had 4, and I kind of crouched behind those, and I could see the door between the 2 cracks. I could see the window of the door. And we just sat there waiting.
Did you keep your eyes on the door?
I did.
And can you explain to the jury why that was?
While I was sitting there, my students complied with everything that I told them. They were very quiet. I did have some students crying. Sorry. So then, while we were sitting there, they were very quiet, and I heard something outside my room, like a voice. It was either like a shouting, yelling, something. And I thought, oh, what is that? You know, who is that?
So what did you do then?
I got on my hands and knees, and I crawled to the window at the door. And I stayed on my knees, and I looked out the window. And when I peered out the window,
what area were you looking? When you looked out the window, can you point to the jury and tell the jury what area you were looking towards?
I was looking at this direction.
And for the record, you're pointing to the south end of the 4th grade building. That's the area you were looking towards?
Yes, right here.
And once you looked out the window, what did you see? Explain that to the jury.
I saw a white police vehicle. It was a car.
Do you remember if it was a police vehicle for the Uvalde Independent School District?
Yes, ma'am. I knew it was a school vehicle because it was just plain white.
Okay. And approximately where was that vehicle parked? Or where did you see it?
It was parked right here.
Okay. And did you see a police officer with the vehicle?
I did.
And what did you see the police officer doing?
I saw him go from like the driver's side around the front to the passenger side. The door was open. I don't remember if he was looking in the car for something or if he was using, like on top of the car, using it as like a shield, I guess.
Okay. And what else did you see the police officer doing?
Just kind of moving around.
The car?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, was he saying anything?
I didn't hear anything.
Okay. You didn't hear him yelling anything?
No, not while I was looking out the window.
Now, Ms. Robin, once you saw, let me back up, did you recognize the police officer?
No, ma'am.
Once you saw the police officer, can you tell the jury what your thoughts were at this time?
My first thought was, the good guys are here. The police are here. We're going to be okay. You know, they're here. They responded.
Now, after you saw the police officer through the window, what did you do?
I got back on my hands and knees and I crawled back to my students and I sat with them and I told them, you know, it's going to be okay. The police are here. I still sat there continuing to monitor through the crack between the two desks that I could see the window.
Now, what was your initial thought process regarding where you had put the students? And I just want to clarify, where did you have the students along what wall?
Along the center block wall.
And did you question that decision of yours at some point? As to whether or not they would be safe there?
Yes, and then I thought I need desks, I need more, so I moved more items closer to us.
Okay. Now, were you eventually evacuated?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how were you evacuated?
We sat there for a while. I continued to look through the crack of the desk, and eventually a man stuck his face into the window of our classroom, and at the time he said, "I'm officer," and then I don't know what he said. I don't know if he said his name and then who he was with, or I don't know. He identified himself as "I'm officer," and that's all I remember. And then he left. And so I got up from where I was sitting with the kids, and I went to the door, and when I looked out the window, I could see another officer that was like a cross in the grass, wearing a vest, and he had a gun. And I also saw another officer, and then I could see him going down to the other classrooms.
Was this time that you saw these officers, was it a considerable amount of time after you saw that initial police officer with the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So can you tell the jury how you got your students out of that classroom?
The officer did come back to the door, and so I went ahead and cracked open the door, and he came to the door, and he said, I'm Officer so-and-so with whatever agency. He said, prepare your students to evacuate. And I said, okay. So I'm just thinking back to, again, like our training, and, I'm thinking we just need to make sure we stay together. I went back to I closed the door, went back to my students, I crouched down, and I said, guys, we're going to be okay, we're going to evacuate, we're leaving. I said, hold each other's hands, and don't let go. And they did. They did exactly what I told them.
Did you explain to them that they were going to see a bunch of police officers?
I did. I said, there's some people outside, they have guns. I said, it's okay, they're the good ones.
And at that point, you all were evacuated?
Yes, ma'am.
And in thinking about that day, Ms. Robin, what are your thoughts about your students that day?
They just did such a good job. They were such good listeners, and they followed me, and they did exactly what I said, and I'm just glad that we made it out.
And just to clarify, Ms. Robin, you are still a teacher as of today with the Uvalde Independent School District?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the witness.
May I proceed, Judge?
Please.
Do you need a moment, Ms. Robin? Yes, ma'am.
I'm okay.
Thank you for coming in and testifying. And it's apparent it's very difficult for you and many other witnesses, so I think we all appreciate that. My name is Nico LaHood. I'm one of the lawyers that represents Adrian, okay? You've never testified before, I'm assuming?
No, sir.
Okay, so this is cross-examination. I've been explaining that to each witness.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go at you. There's no trick questions, there's no gotcha moments. I'm just gonna ask questions to bring context and clarity. And the reason why is because this was a stressful situation to you, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just for the record, you have to say a word, yes or no.
Yes.
Yes, that's okay. It's for the court reporter. And so the reason why we ask is because we're asking people something and kind of reminding them of what they said maybe previously. So, just for the jury's notice, you've said this, your experience to other people before, right?
Yes, sir.
And you I think interviewed with the Texas Rangers.
Yes, sir.
And you've also spoken with the government.
Yes, sir.
And have you spoken any other times before those two? Aside from those two?
Not publicly.
Right.
Maybe to my therapist.
Yes, ma'am. But you and I have never spoken.
No, sir.
Or you've never spoken to anybody on the defense side.
No, sir.
So I want to talk about these drills. I think the government opened up asking you questions about the lockdown drills.
Mm-hmm.
And if I heard you correctly, and it seems consistent, that there was only 1 or 2 drills the whole year.
Yes.
It sounds to me like you felt there should have been more. Do you still work for the Uvalde Independent School District?
Yes, sir.
I'm not trying to put you in a bad spot. If you don't want to answer that question, you don't have to, and I'll move on.
Okay.
Is that better?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so, and it also sounds like you prepared your students yourself.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there's some general, however many times a year, there's some general information shared with teachers, but then it sounds like each individual teacher, and you did a wonderful job of taking responsibility and you preparing your students yourself.
Sir.
That's
Yes.
right. Because you're with your students every day.
Yes.
And so, it also sounds like you explain some practical things to them as well.
Yes, sir.
You said something, and I want to make sure we can get a feel for why you said it. You said you felt like you were a sitting duck out there.
Yes.
Is that because you were in a separate wing outside of a building, or is it because that the school did not have a designated police officer full-time?
I felt like a sitting duck because of my room, of the wall of glass.
Okay, so we know that you're in the wing, you're in the D wing, D for Delta, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so A, B, C, D, E, you're a D, and you're in room 16?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so you just felt because you were kind of winged out, you weren't within the confines of a building, you felt like a sitting duck.
Correct.
But I guess the second part of my earlier question was, it's also a fact that Robb Elementary, unfortunately, did not have a full-time officer assigned to it. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And so the high school had a full-time officer, but not the elementary school.
Yes.
I also want to bring your attention to the I guess the magnet systems that the school approved. I believe you testified to this jury that these magnets they were used every day.
I used mine every day.
And that was allowed by the school?
Yes.
And I believe you said they were issued by the school?
Yes.
Okay. So the school issues these magnets, is it because that the school, and I'm not ragging on the school, they just didn't have the resources to do like a key fob for the teachers and install that?
Correct.
Have you worked at other schools where they had that, where it was easy access through some type of security mechanism that way?
Yes.
Okay. But Robb Elementary didn't have that?
No, sir.
Okay. So there seemed like that the school district had to adjust with the teachers, and from a practical standpoint, these magnets were used, but you testified that you could easily remove the magnet and it would automatically lock.
Yes.
So there's a latch in these doors, and so the magnet would stop the latch from catching on the frame.
That's right.
Am I using my hands properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so then when you, on the inside, when you open it, the catch would come up and you open out, and it would come back, it would automatically lock on its own.
Right.
And the magnet would be inserted between, and they use terms like it would defeat the lock, meaning that it would allow it to be open and closing as you want.
Yes.
Okay. And was it was obviously approved and issued by the school, so most, if not all, most teachers use that procedure.
I'm not sure.
Okay, but they were issued by the school.
They were.
So the school approved this.
Yes.
You were not violating a policy.
Not that I'm aware of.
Right. So the policy was to keep the doors locked. Your door was locked, but there was this magnet used just to make it
Yes.
easy access. Okay. Now, to bring your attention back to the incident, and when you got your children out of the bathroom and into your classroom, you didn't have to lock the door because your door was always locked.
Yes, sir.
You just removed that magnet.
Yes, sir.
Got it. And then you made a strategic decision to go to a certain corner of the room. Now, the government asked you on whether you second-guessed that decision. Was that the corner that you'd always practiced on those 1 or 2 times a year drill?
Yes.
But yet, at this time, once it was actually happening, you questioned on whether that was the best corner?
I questioned whether I needed to have more cover.
Oh. Cover meaning something that would stop a potential projectile.
Yes.
In your mind, what would that have been?
Well, I used a desk.
Okay.
I also rolled a book cart closer to some children because we didn't all fit within that, underneath the table, within the corner.
Now, and it sounds like it's these windows that really gave you angst, right?
Yes.
It's those windows that were just exposed
Yes.
you. Did you ever voice that concern to administration?
No.
No, okay. Now, I want to direct your attention now to when you were in the corner with the children, sitting with them, and then when you crawled up because you heard some noises. You ended up crawling to the window, and you peeked out and you saw what you believe was an officer.
Yes.
And you said that officer was moved around the vehicle and it appeared to you, was using that vehicle for cover.
Yes.
Okay. But also you said it appeared to be some communication or yelling with somebody else in the officer's presence or around him.
I'm not sure.
Okay. But the officer was yelling or talking to somebody. You're not sure?
I'm not sure.
Fair enough. But is it fair to say that that officer was between you and the shooting that was happening on the other side of him?
Yes.
And do you now know that there was other officers on that side that did not drive in like this officer did into the
No.
danger? You did not know that?
No.
If there were other officers that stayed on the outside, that would be a distinction in your mind between those officers that stayed away at the corner and this officer, whoever it was. Well, you know it's Adrian now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Adrian driving in close to, in between your building and then the 4th grade building, right?
I'm going to object. That's speculation. She already said she didn't know there was other officers there, so at this point it's speculating.
I gave her a hypothetical, Judge. I said, if you know, give an opinion.
You can answer if you know, ma'am.
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, let's talk about Adrian, this officer. This officer, for sure, regardless if there was other officers out there, this officer drove in to the campus close to the 4th grade building and in between you and that 4th grade building.
Yes.
And from your position, it doesn't sound like when you testified a short time ago that you remember a lot of gunfire sounds.
The initial ones, yes. We did hear several more once we were in the corner, but it wasn't a lot.
And you know that stress can affect people differently,
Of course.
right? There's tunnel vision,
Right.
right? There's perception distortion,
Right.
and there's something called, have you ever heard of auditory exclusion?
Yes.
Right, which things kind of, and it sounds like maybe that was happening, understandably, a little bit to you.
Mhm.
You're a blessing to your profession, ma'am. Thank you for answering my questions. Pass the witness.
No more questions, Your Honor. She may be excused.
Excused, Mr. Flood.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Judge. Yes, yes, sir.
You're released from the subpoena, ma'am, and you're free to go. Thank you for being here. We would ask, because the rule's been invoked, that you not discuss the case with anybody until you're aware the trial is over with. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me go and give you your morning recess. Take about 10-15 minutes. We'll call you back in shortly. Would everyone rise for the jury? You want to open up that?